Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to The Discriminating Gamer. You know, I was recently at the doctor's office, and he gave me some anti-gloating cream. I can't wait to rub it in. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at Tusk, Surviving the Ice Age from Gale Force 9. Hello everybody, we'll get back to the review in just a second. I just want to take a moment to ask you to go ahead and check out and subscribe to my other channel, that is Cody Carlson PhD, where we talk about military history and books on history and fun things like that. Please check that out, please subscribe, and now, back to the review. In Tusk, Surviving the Ice Age from Gale Force 9, 2 to 4 players take on the roles of various cavemen as they attempt to gather their food and survive the horrible coming Ice Age. Each player is going to get their own player board, which has some rules information. It also has spots to place various items you're going to collect in the game. You also have your meeples. You start with a total of 4 meeples. You're going to place 1 on the board, and then 3 start on your player board. You're going to be able to bring them in later as the game progresses. Now, the board itself is a series of tiles. Essentially, you have kind of the mammoth area right in the center, and then you're going to put tiles around this board. Around that tile, rather. And these tiles are going to have different things. There's going to be places for different items. For instance, some of these places will have areas for tasty food. Some areas will have place for stones. Some places will have wood for pointy sticks. And some places will be just grasslands for patches of grass. So you're going to go ahead and, depending on what it says, you're going to place some of those items on this board, and you're going to build the, as I say, the tiles around that center section. Now, in the center of the game board, you're going to place a woolly mammoth. He's going to go right in the center there. And you're also going to place a hunt board just off to the side of the main board. Now, there's also a number of victory cards. These are ways you can score additional points toward the end of the game. You're going to go ahead, you're going to shuffle those, you're going to draw 3, each player will draw 3, and you're going to select which one you want to keep. You're going to place 1 face down near you, the rest you're going to put back into the victory card deck, and you're going to move that deck around. Now, in each round of Tusk, you actually have 3 phases. Now, the first phase is the tribe phase. So one of the things you can do is you can grow your tribe. Essentially, you can take one of your tribe members from your player board and place him onto the main board next to a player you've already got out there, a token you've already got out there. But you have to pay for him. Essentially, you're paying food to bring him onto the board. Now, as you move further and further right by placing your figures on the board, you're revealing more food. That is the cost. That is the food you have to pay in order to bring that meeple out onto the board. Now, you also, too, have to decide at this time if you want to send any of your tribe members out onto the hunt. Now, if you do that, you actually remove them from the board and you put them on the hunt board. Now, the very first person to do it actually puts his first person into the hunt leader space on the board, and the others put them in the general hunt area on the board. Next, you send out your gatherers. So essentially, you can take 2 actions with any of your hunters. You can move, you can gather a resource. If you're on a space with a resource, you can take 1 resource for an action. If for whatever reason your meeple had been knocked out, you can recover him, or you can actually engage in a fight with another player. More on that later. Now, as I say, you are gaining resources, and some of these resources that you can gain is food, which of course is something you may have to invest, like I say, to bring out more of your tribe members. But food is also going to be your kind of your victory point. So you want to keep as much food as you can, but sometimes you have to invest it. Now, you can also get pointy sticks. Now, pointy sticks are going to help you in combat, and kind of in an offensive way, and the patches of grass are going to help you in a defensive way. Now, if you're going to go have combat with somebody, essentially you're going to commit resources to the combat. You put your guys together, you're going to decide, okay, we've got stone, we've got pointy sticks, and we've got clumps of grass. And how many of those you're going to dedicate to the battle? Then you each roll a die. Now, if you have a pointy stick, you're going to add a +1 to your die roll. If you have a clump of grass, you're essentially going to negate +1 from your opponent. Now, if you succeed in wounding your opponent, essentially you put him, lay him down, and if you have a stone, you can essentially bash another member of that tribe over the head, so another member of their tribe has to lay down as well. So that's essentially how combat works in this game. But then you have to go to phase 2, the hunt. Now, during the hunt, it's kind of the same thing. Essentially, each player is going to go ahead and commit resources to fighting the mammoth. And it's kind of the same thing. You've got your sticks are going to add +1 that you committed there. You're going to go ahead and roll the die. You need to get a 6. You need to roll a 6 on the die in order to wound the animal. But again, if you've got pointy sticks, you've got that bonus. If you wound it, you can take one of the 4 food tokens from the mammoth and you can claim that. However, if you also have stones involved, you can go ahead and spend those stones in order to claim additional food tokens. Now, after everybody's had a chance to fight the mammoth, assuming there's still food there, you can go ahead and have the mammoth fight you. Essentially, he attacks each of you. Now, he's rolling the die, and you can again mitigate the die effects. If you have a clump of grass, that gives you a defensive bonus. After the hunt, you're going to go ahead and place your tokens back on the board. If they were wounded, they come in wounded laying down. Otherwise, they come back in face up. Finally, you have the season phase. The first thing you do is you draw a season card, and the season card may have certain conditions that are going to be in effect for the rest of the next game round, and there may be some other funky things that pop up as well. Now, the mammoth tile actually has a series of numbers around it, depending on the tiles it's around. You're actually going to move your mammoth. You're going to roll the die, and he's going to tell you the direction he's going. Now, the season card is going to tell you how far he moves. Does he just move 1, or does he move 2? But if ever he would move off the edge, you just bring him back to the center. Now, finally, you're going to discover new lands. Now, the first few turns, you're essentially going to create a new ring of tiles. So you create these new tiles, the board grows. Now, after that, I think, third turn, when all of the tiles have been placed, suddenly you're going to go ahead and move to the Ice Age. Now, the Ice Age is going to begin by you roll a die, which determines where it's going to happen, and you find the outermost tile, you flip it over to ice, and everything in the row goes to ice. Now, that can, I believe if the cards come out, they can tell you if you also do the adjacent row. So these things, the Ice Age kind of grows here toward the center as the game progresses. Now, at the very end of the game, once all of the tiles are covered in ice, you're going to go ahead and reveal your victory card if you haven't already, and that's going to determine whatever bonuses you get. You're going to go ahead and look at all of your tasty food tokens. You're going to add them all together, and whoever has the most tasty food tokens wins. Tusk, surviving the Ice Age. So this is a game from Gale Force 9, and Gale Force 9, of course, is known for producing some of these really good, big, heavy, meaty games that I have loved. Firefly, the game, Star Trek Ascendancy, recently redid Tyrants of the Underdark. Wise Guys, which came out recently, is a really good game. Dune, of course. A lot of really good, meaty games. And this game came out, and just to look at it, it's lighter. It's got some more kind of, comic, cartoony artwork. And it's just got a lighter vibe to it than a lot of their other games. And so I was kind of like, okay, well, let's take a look at it. I think this is probably Gale Force 9's first real attempt to do a more family, lighter game like this. And I was like, okay, let's try it. So I started playing it, and again, it's one of those games it's really easy to pick up and learn. It's super easy to pick up and learn. But we're playing it, and we find there are real decisions here. Do I want to use my guys to go out and get food or get stones? Because there's only so much out there, and if I don't, will my opponent do it? Or do I want to send them on the hunt where I got maybe another chance of actually taking down the mammoth? Do I want to use my guys to get sticks so I'm stronger in combat? Do I want to play defensive to get the grass? Or stone to get those bonuses? What do I want to do here? So there's some real choice with regard to that. It's also kind of fun to see I always like game mechanics where you roll a die and see where some kind of NPC or something, what happens. And this has that with the mammoth moving around. That's always fun. Now, I kind of hit a stumbling block in this game, though, with the Ice Age. The way in the rule book it's described for the Ice Age coming is not good. And frankly, the first game, we were kind of scratching our heads about that. I actually reached out to my contact at Gale Force 9 and asked her, okay, can you explain this to me? And she did. She got back to me, and she kind of it clicked, right? But it's not worded terribly well in the rule book, and I wish they would clarify that, because it's a pretty neat game, and then we just kind of hit that roadblock there, and I anticipate there being a lot of questions about that on BGG with regard to this game. But overall, I had fun. It's a, like I say, it's a light game, and light games are great because they're short. If a light game, and that's that's a real problem. If a game is too light for what it is, but it just goes on and on and on. I remember a few years ago I played one that was a relatively light game. I can't remember the name of it. It was by an independent company, but it had so much going on for as light as the game was. And it's just like it was going on for like 2+ hours, and you're just like, you know. But when a game is light and fun with choices, but it's 45 minutes an hour, pretty short game, then it's great. It hits a certain spot, scratches a certain itch, and Tusk does that. I think Tusk is a great, like I say, a great game. I think it'd be a great game for young people. It'd be a great game for as a gateway game, introducing people to more modern board games, or even just kind of a filler for game night. There's for what this game is, there's something here. So recommendation for Tusk: Surviving the Ice Age is buy it. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. We'd also ask you to please check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about military history and books on history and fun things like that. Please check it out, please subscribe, and please give a thumb to this video on Board Game Geek. That helps us out a lot as well. Before we go, ladies and gentlemen, I just have one thing to say. To whoever stole my Microsoft Office, I will find you. You've got my word. Please somebody help me on my feet again. And I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band. Number 8, Tom Vazel's Ego. It's the largest board game ever created. Yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Vazel.